Alright, so I want to do a real quick video on showing you how to put like smudges and fingerprints in this case, because that's part of the assignment. So if I take this sword, and it's a, it's a really quick sword that we all looked at. I've got some simple scratches on here. I haven't really spent any time on this since I made it a few semesters ago. But let's show you how you put a smudge or something on that. Fingerprints are just oil residue from your fingers in most cases. Sometimes it's dirt. But what we're going to do is make a full layer, a new layer, and it's going to have all this stuff. And you see how it overwrites everything, even though the scratches are gone. That's because all this information is now in there. So I'm going to leave, I'll take the normal off, I'll take the height off. And what I'm going to end up doing is put a mask on it. I'm going to put a black mask on it, and we get back to where our scratches and stuff are. They're just really light. And it's hard to see without the reflectivity. And then I'm going to leave it the way it is right now so I can see the fingerprints and stuff when I put them on. So the best way to do this is to take it and go to add paint. So there's a paint layer inside of your black texture. And then come up to your alpha source and turn that one off, and then pick, if you type in FIN, you'll see there's fingerprints. I made a few. I'll attach one of these with it. It's just something I found on the internet. It's not my fingerprints, so you can't get nothing. We'll take this and we'll make this brush. And here's the brush, and it's using this alpha. So if you want, you could just click on here, and you can see there's the color coming through. Let me go back to my color here, and I'll make it something readable so it's red. Okay. Then I'll come back to here, go to my alpha, and let's show you a couple things. If you hold control when you have your brush up, and this works for anywhere, and you go on the left mouse button, right and left, it turns up the brightness and contrast of it, or the strength of it. If you go up and down with the right mouse button, it turns it around so the angle's changed. If you go up and down with the left mouse button, it makes it bigger and smaller. If you go right and left, excuse me, and up and down, I think it's the same thing. I think there's only really one control. It's up and when you push the right mouse button, it makes it go bigger and smaller. The left mouse button makes it go turn if you go up and down, or brighter and less opaque if you go left and right. Okay, so I have this control, and I'm going to undo that last one. I'm going to come back to because I undid the color thing, so I'm just going to go to red there. And then I'll come back to my alpha paint layer, and I will decide where this fingerprint's going to be, and we'll just make it a big giant fingerprint here, and we will rotate it over a little bit and click. And because I have it on the opacity lower, so let's do that again with the opacity even brighter. There you go. So now we can actually see the color. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one that way, and then I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to go, and if you notice when I said fingerprint, it came up with a few that are already built into Substance. So I'm going to grab this one. And this one, you'll see it tries to snap to the surface of the object. That's fine. That's why you don't want to adjust it out here. You want to adjust it in here. And then you're going to go up or down to rotate it again. And this one, I'm not worried about the opacity. I'm going to leave it at the default setting there, and I'll click. Actually, I'm going to pull the opacity back a little bit and click. There. Okay, so now I've got my two fingerprints. So that's the basic idea behind them. But let's come back in here and adjust some things. So this is how we get the shapes and forms. What we're really looking at is the opacity and, the metal and roughness. And if it's like a muddy fingerprint, then you put height and dirt and color. We're going to take the color off to start with. And if we look at the default roughness and metallic is all the way down, and actually we don't even need that one. If we look at oops, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. Hello. That's interesting. If you hold control and click on one of them, it inverts the selection. Okay, so I just want the roughness. So if we look at this, I can see this little fingerprint kind of faded in there. So what we're going to do is, real quick, we're going to go look at the metallosity of the silver that we have here, and you'll see that the metal is 1 and the roughness is 0.2. So in theory, if I come over to this, and I don't worry about the metal, but I say 0.2 on this, it should disappear. Okay, that's what you want. You want it to disappear, and then you're gonna just slightly pull it up. You know, you don't want to really go this way. There are some times if you have wet, oily hands, you can make the reflection even more reflective. But in this case, we're just going to kind of go the other direction and just ever so slightly pull it out. And that's what you get a fingerprint or smudge. And you could also just paint it too, don't forget. If I went back to this fill layer and paint layer, I could just paint a bunch of fingerprints and stuff too. But that's how you do it, and that works great for glass. It works great for other things. It works great for, obviously, shiny metal. It doesn't work super well. Oh, let's see. On non-shiny objects, let's see if I can find anything on this sword that's not shiny, this original piece here. Let me turn that and that off. Actually, we'll just do a fill layer above this. There. It's got some pock marks and stuff, which I'm sure is from down here. Okay. So now if I do that same thing, I'm going to come back up to this layer we just made, and we'll call this fingers. Actually, no, we won't even do that. We're going to, yeah, let's do that. Then I'm going to take, I'm going to hide this. I'm going to take this, I'll delete these for now. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to take these, which I should have named from the beginning, fingerprint. And then I'm going to hold the Alt button and drag it up above, hold on, I guess I could just do it that way, above this. Okay, so now my fingerprint texture technically is in the wrong spot, so we need to take this paint and then come back to over here and click. Okay, so it's not even really looking like it's showing up because there's no real reflectivity or anything. This is dominating. If we look at this, it's got very little, but if we turn this down or up, it should. Yeah, here, let me turn on the color so we can see it better too. There. It's the unwraps horrible, so I have it on symmetry. So I'm going to turn it back on here real quick. There. So if I paint in the finger area here, and I go get that other fingerprint texture, I do that. That way you can see it here. Let me make it a little bit brighter even. There. So it's really strong. So I have that fingerprint, right? Well, what I need to do is let me turn off the color again here. Come back to this, turn off the color, and then we're going to mess with, see how it goes. And the light's not great on it right there, but see, there's the fingerprints on it. Isn't that cool? You can turn it way up. And it should, if we look back at the fingerprint, or the roughness here, you'll see that it's at 0.3. Again, if we go to this and say 0.3, oops, type it in here, then it should disappear. But if we go and put a metal on 2 even, and we turn this way up, see, now you're seeing that metal. And if we turn this way down, we've got this super reflective stuff, and we can turn the metal quite a bit down too if you want. I think we could probably even get away with, you may not be able to see it because of the white, but if this was a black texture underneath here, let me do this a darker color here. I'll just do black. Now you can really see what I'm talking about. So fingers, don't fail me now. There you go. So there's the reflectivity of that fingerprint that we're putting on there. And what we'll do is come to here. And we'll really make this so there's no reflectivity. So it's just this flat. And now I've got this reflective fingerprint thing. Okay, so I mean you don't want it this subtle, but I wanted to show you how it's working. It's on there. All right, this is closer to what you want. You pull this back out here and you can see that subtlety. You can make it a little bit more or whatever, and if there's something that's giving the fingerprint, and then if you come over to here, it should be, let me go this one. Don't ignore my stupid unwrap, whatever I did there. And ignore my computer. You'll stop being angry in a second, maybe. There we go. So, super high reflectivity here, and super duller in this area. And again, with that mask, we can now mess with it, and that's what we're working with here.